This is Into Math 3rd grade, lesson 7.4, multiply and divide with 5 and 10. I can use more than one strategy to solve multiplication and division problems with 5 and 10 as factors and divisors. Please gather your workbook and a pencil and turn to page 186. We will start under Step It Out Part 2, and you can pause if you need to. A trophy case at a bowling alley has 5 shelves. Each shelf has the same number of trophies. There are 30 trophies in the case. How many trophies are on each shelf? Part A asks you to count by fives. And they're asking us to count by fives because there are 5 shelves. And then they want to know, how do you know how many times to count? Well, we're going to stop at 30 because there are 30 trophies in all. If you would like to pause and try this on your own, you may do so and come back. And when you do, you'll find that we started at 0 and we count 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30. And then we'll need to answer, how do we know how many times to count? And we can explain our thinking that I count by fives until I reach 30 because there are 30 trophies in all. Part B asks, how many times did you count by fives? Again, you can pause and try this on your own and come back to check your answer. And you will find that we counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we counted 6 times. Part C, write a division equation to model the problem. In our division problem, we would say that there were 30 trophies, and we divided those 30 trophies by the 5 shelves. So our answer is 6, meaning there are 6 trophies on each shelf. So we can complete the word problem. There are 6 trophies on each shelf. Let's take a look at the next part, Part 3. A bowling league has 40 players. Each team has 5 players. How many teams are there? They ask us to write related facts to solve this problem. All right, Part A. Write a division equation to model the problem. And they actually give us the instructions about what goes where, which is amazing. So if you'd like to pause and fill this information out yourself, you're welcome to do that and come back. And we see that the first thing that they would like us to fill in is the total number of players, which we know was 40. So we can write that in here. There are 40 players. And then the next information that they'd like us to fill in says the number of players on each team, which we know to be 5 players. So we can write that in. 5 players. And so 40 divided into 5 groups is going to give us the number of teams, which would go here, our quotient. And we know that that is 8. So we have written the division equation to model the problem that was given to us. Now let's look at Part B. Write a multiplication equation to model the problem. All right, so again, if you want to pause and complete this, you can, and come back and check your answer. So the first part is asking the number of teams, which is the same answer or quotient that we received in our division problem. So there were 8 teams. The next part asks for the number of players on each team, which is the same number as above in the division equation, which is 5. And so then the total number of players, again, that's the same information up here, would be 40. So how many teams are there? And we can answer there are 8 teams. On the next page, page 187, under question 4, Gutter Alley has 70 bowling pins. Each lane has the number of pins shown. How many lanes are there? So our first part, A, asks us to count the number of pins in each lane. So if you want to pause the video and count these pins, you can do that and come back. And you will find that there are 10 pins. So we're going to count the number of pins in each lane, and we're going to stop at the number 70 because we know that's how many bowling pins we have. So if you'd like to pause and do that on your own and come back, you may. Otherwise, you can follow along with me. So we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70. And that's where we stop because we have 70 bowling pins. Now it's asking part B, how many lanes are there? Well, we can determine the amount of lanes by counting how many groups of 10 we counted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there are 7 lanes. Let's continue on. Part 5. A bowling lane is 60 feet long. Gutter alley uses pieces of wood that are each 10 feet long to build a lane. How many pieces of wood does gutter alley use to build a lane? Okay, let's review that one more time. There's 60 feet in a bowling lane, and each piece of wood is 10 feet long. So they want to find out how many pieces of wood we need to build that lane. Under part A, we will use repeated subtraction. We will start with 60 feet and subtract 10 feet until we reach 0. So this is one strategy that we're using to find the amount of pieces of wood that gutter alley used to build the lane. So the first one they did for us right here, they said 60 take away 10 gives us 50. And then they took the answer and they put that 50 here because that's what's left over after we've built one lane. And now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take away 10 from 50, and that gives us the answer of 40. Now we're going to take that 40, which is what's left over, and put it on top of this subtraction problem. So if you'd like to pause and continue the repeated subtraction on your own and come back, you're welcome to do that, or you can continue to follow along with me. So we left here at 40, and we're going to say 40 take away 10, and that's going to give us 30. Then we bring that up to the top because that's what's left over. And then we subtract 10, another lane, and we get 20. And then we bring that 20 over here, subtract 10 feet to make another lane, and we're left with 10. And then we have 10 feet of wood left, and we subtract 10 more feet, and we end with 0. So now we can stop because we've reached 0. Part B asks, how many times did you subtract 10? Well, we can find that we subtracted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We subtracted 6 times. And using this strategy, we can answer part C. How many pieces of wood does gutter alley use to build a lane? They will need 6 pieces. Please remember, you can always go back and rewatch this video and pause along the way as needed.